What's up, Comicbook.com? BD here in the studio at San Diego Comic-Con right now. I'm beyond excited because I'm being joined by somebody I grew up watching. Now I'm seeing you kill it over there at AEW. Chris Jericho is live in the studio with us.
Yes, live.
Welcome to Comic-Con. How's it going so far?
It's been great. It's been super busy, which is good. But this is kind of an amalgamation of all things that I'm into. You know, it's just very much a pop culture situation, and wrestling fans, heavy metal fans, comic book fans, all kind of blend in together. There's a lot of connections between them all. So it's been a lot of fun.
Are you able to get out on the floor at all? Do you get to go check anything out, or would it just be?
You know, I had a signing for Painmaker, and it's pretty funny because you have like security guys, right?
Sure.
And they're, you know, everyone moves to the right, so everyone moves to the right. So like I'm walking by, and even if people don't know who you are because the security guards are so loud, I feel like fucking Mick Jagger or something just walking. And then I just watched Ozzy, because Ozzy was here yesterday, and I just watched him. They brought him in on a cart, and I have 3 guys. He had like 8. So that made me feel a little better, because it's like if Ozzy's got 8, then 3 is not so bad. I kind of feel a little bit
doing pretty well,
like a jerk, you know what I mean? But it's also kind of cool. Like I'm almost like the royal scepter holding, step aside, commoners. So it's been pretty cool. But no, I can't really go walk around because listen, once again, this is my fan base, and it's great. So I got to see a few things, but mostly it's been a lot of press. So I kind of been behind the scenes.
So what are you a fan of that's out here?
See, that's the thing. I don't know, because I didn't get a chance to see anything. I was asking you before, you know, what interviews you had. But, I mean, to me, once again, I always find that wrestling fans, Kiss fans, and Star Wars fans are all very similar. They hate everything, complain about everything, yet support everything, and watch everything and buy everything. So I'm sure there's all of that elements here at Comic-Con. And once again, I would like to kind of maybe put on like a lucha mask and go walk through and see the previews of, you know, like you said, Black Adam or D&D or whatever's going on. But it's like I said, it's cool to be in the position where people want to talk to you and want to take pictures. You can never complain about that.
No, it's a good. That's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
Tomorrow's my day where I'm going to hit the floor and try to buy a few things to take home with me. Are you a collector? Do you?
I'm really not a collector. I never have been. I mean, I'll have a few cool things. Like I think probably I'm a huge Beatles fan, and I actually went in an auction last year after Eddie Van Halen died. They were selling one of the Eddie Van Halen Frankenstein guitars, like the 5150 Kramer guitars. And I thought, well, let me just see how much that will go for in the bidding. And right out of the gate, it was like just ridiculous, like $50,000 first bid. I was like, well, I'm not doing that. And then I saw Paul McCartney autographed Hofner bass, the big, looks like, you know, his famous, looks like a violin. And I got into a little bit of a bidding war on that, and I got it. It wasn't completely crazy. So the stuff like that, like I have a few autographs here and there.
Sure.
You know, the McCartney autographed guitar is probably my biggest collection. And other than that, I like, you know, a couple like weird horror movie action figures that they put out now. There's a movie called Bloodsucking Freaks, which is one of my favorites, and they actually have a Ralphus doll, which is like this little person, murderer, psycho, and he carries around a bucket of like body parts and eyeballs, and so this little action figure comes complete with bucket of body parts and eyeballs.
There you go.
So stuff like that I have, but as far as like I have to have every, you know, edition of Power Slave by Iron Maiden, I'm not that type of collector.
So when you have these things in the house, how do you display them?
I have like in my office to where it's getting too much, and then especially during the pandemic when we were doing Zoom calls and StreamYards and all that stuff. Similar to what you guys have here, I had my background with whatever kind of toys, vinyl LPs, bottles of the bubbly, whatever the hell I had. But then it gets too much, and then it just becomes clutter.
Yeah.
So now I have to try and figure out what I want to do, and it's hard, man. So I do keep them all in my office, but now it's like they're on the floor. There's piles here and there. It's like I got to start kind of weeding through it because it's too much clutter. I'm feeling like a hoarder.
An embarrassment of riches.
Embarrassment of riches.
I'm in the same boat.
A Gene Simmons mic foam with his actual saliva on it. If I ever want to do like a Gene Simmons Jurassic Park, I can start with this mic foam with the saliva on it. Yeah.
So when fans come up to you when you're on the floor doing signings and stuff, I assume a lot of it is wrestling. That when they come up and they want to talk to you about something, is there anything specific, whether it is within your wrestling career or your music or your podcast?
Yeah, I mean, assume it's wrestling, but people at this point in time, it's just kind of anything Jericho.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, especially we're here in San Diego, and this is where I won the Undisputed Championship freaking 20 years ago by beating The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin the same night. So there's a lot of people here in San Diego that were there.
Yeah.
So when I did the Painmaker signing, they all came by and were asking, I was there that night, and it was so cool, and blah, blah, blah. So you get a lot of that if you're in the local area, local questions. A lot of questions about Painmaker, a lot of questions about the crazy barbed wire match we just had last week, hence the lovely nose bandages. A lot of Fozzy questions. Mm-hmm. I mean, Talk is Jericho, the Jericho Cruise. I mean, it's pretty much a cornucopia of Jericho, and questions being asked.
That's funny. I didn't even put together San Diego. The last interview I did just before this, I was on the Black Adam. I talked to The Rock here in San Diego. Now you're all together again.
It's a very big city for all of us.
Dude, I am going to ask you about the nose, because I saw that clip of the chair drop.
Yeah.
I mean, in a moment like that in a match, like what do you go? What is the next step? Like, do you?
You just go, that hurt. Yeah, I mean, once again, I think matches like the one that we just had are probably good for the wrestling business, because it lets people know that it's not just all fun and games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, that stuff isn't real. They don't really hit each other, and then you literally get bashed in the nose with the leg of the chair. And you could see it. It was just an accident. But when it hit my nose, I thought, okay, for sure it's broken. And it wasn't as badly broken as I thought. It's more just cracked and cartilage and that sort of thing. But still, I mean, as long as you can still move and breathe and see, it's kind of just part of the job.
Yeah.
And if it's on TV, at least we get some shots of it. And it's like I said, it's actually probably good for the business in the long run.
As long as
doesn't feel
doesn't
good the
have
next
to come
day.
with one of these.
What's that?
As long as the ref doesn't have to come.
Which now they do as a work anyway, so that's not even real. Yeah, so it was like I said, it's you never want that to happen, but as long as someone isn't breaking their leg or something very serious, it's just part of the job that kind of adds an extra little shade of realism to it.
I feel like AEW has been. I mean, you guys have been bringing a little bit of edge, a lot of bit of edge back to wrestling.
Yeah.
And now that you've been, I mean, you've really helped elevate the brand. It was such a big deal when you said Jericho's all elite.
Right.
And you've helped elevate the brand. You've taken over. You've helped everybody else go around you. How are you feeling now, years into it? Like, are you settled in? Like, what?
It was really cool because once again, to start a new wrestling company, you've heard it for a million times. So this guy's got money. He's gonna say, oh, whatever, bullshit. So to actually leave. Well, I had left WWE anyways at that point, but to take a chance and start AEW, knowing that if it works, it's another feather in the legend of Chris Jericho. If it fails, then I have to crawl back to WWE on hands and knees and try and go back there again. I didn't think it was going to fail. I thought that the time had come for wrestling fans to have an alternative.
Sure.
We thought that there was a market for it, and we were right. 3 months in, we were a success. And now I think the coolest thing, not just being involved in AEW from the start, but now having it to where CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and those type of guys are feeling safe to come in with us. That's a big deal because now it's not a risk. Is this thing going to be around in 2 years or what am I going to do? So I think now it's become a viable thing, and I'm very proud that I was a big part of making that happen.
I remember watching you and Chris Van Vliet talk about it in the back of a limo.
Chris Van Vliet.
Yeah. But what was there a moment where you started to realize hey, this is working. What we're doing is working.
I mean, right out of the gate, our ratings. I think and I called myself the demo god, which people thought, oh, that's kind of a cool name, but it really was the demos, which a lot of people don't understand, are very, very important in television. To where a quick kind of primer on it, if Dynamite has 1 million viewers and Tucker Carlson has 3 million viewers, but if our demo is higher, we get the #1 spot. And the demo is the viewers between 18 and 49. That's the most important thing because that's for what advertisers are looking for. And our demos right out of the gate were very high to the point where we started as an ad rev share contract, which means you get a portion of the advertisement, to 3 months later we got 160 million for 4 years, and that was fairly low for our demos. When our next contract comes up, that's when you should see maybe 3-4 times that, because the demos have been that strong. So Yeah, it was. I wasn't surprised. I was very excited about it, and that's when I knew. Probably 3 months in, when we got that new television contract right out of the gate. They ripped up the old one, gave us this new one. That's when I know, okay, we're onto something here.
And it's awesome not only to see that the locker room seems to really be supportive and getting along with each other. The fans like root for the brand.
Sure, I mean,
it's awesome.
Because when you like that's like my connection with Metallica, for example.
Sure.
I've been a fan of Metallica since their second record.
Yeah.
In 1985, Ride the Lightning came out. And went back and bought Kill 'Em All. So I had the first 2 records when I was 14 years old. I grew up with Metallica. Like, as they grew bigger, I was the proud fan. I think AEW is the same. They started with us from day one, and now that we've become, a viable contender, and basically, to be honest, the hottest wrestling company in the world and the coolest wrestling company in the world. It gives you a little bit of a proverbial pat on the back that I was there from the start. You feel connected to it. And as long as you have a connection with your audience, you'll always have a gig, and that goes for wrestling, rock and roll, movies, music, comic books, or whatever. If the fans feel connected to what you're doing, they will continue to support you, no matter what.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, you guys have that atmosphere going. I want to cross the forbidden door real quick. The biggest news of the week is that Vince is retiring. What impact do you think that has, if any? I imagine it's quite.
Well, I'm sure it'll have a lot more impact on their company.
Sure.
And that's one thing that we've always been very good at, is that we worry about our show, our own show.
Mm-hmm.
How can we do better programming? How can we do better storylines and create bigger stars and expand our roster in a positive way? And it was like that even when they sent NXT, the evil NXT, to kind of stomp out the hot young upstarts. Well, it didn't really work, and we really never worried about that. Mm-hmm. It's like you could bring, a reunion of the Beatles or the return of Jesus Christ and slot it against Dynamite. There's nothing we can do. All we can worry about is our own thing. So, yeah, of course it's going to impact the business, but I'm glad that I'm not there, nor have I been for 5 years. So it was a great place for me to work for a very long time. Always enjoyed working with Vince, always enjoyed working with WWE, but I'm really happy to be in AEW.
Over at AEW, who do you think are some of the guys you think are going to be the ones carrying the torch, like really about to blow up and carry it forward?
Well, I think we've done a really good job of building a lot of different guys. I think, you know what I mean? Like when we started, I was the face of the company. Yeah. Really the only person besides Jim Ross that wrestling fans, like a garden variety wrestling fans, would know.
Yeah.
We've reinvented Moxley. We've reinvented Danielson. Punk is back now. Jungle Boy is on the rise. Darby Allin has done a great job. MJF has become a big star. Sammy Guevara, Daniel Garcia, like the list goes on and on and on. Those are just FTR. Those are just the ones off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. Hangman Page, So we had a lot of injuries this summer, and yet we still kept the lights on. And what do you do when someone gets hurt? Well, someone else steps up and becomes a bigger player. Yeah. And that's just how our company works. And we're very much a team atmosphere. Yeah. In that, there's none of the snaky, old school wrestling stab you in the back while they, shake your hand type stuff. We really are a team, and we really are working together to raise everybody's profile. And I think it's something that people can feel that, and they can taste it, and that gives our fans a little bit more connection as well.
Darby, just a couple weeks ago, going off that ladder. Those sort of moments, man.
Insane. He's insane.
Dude,
right?
You guys are killing it over there. I do want to. You're coming up on 900 episodes of your podcast. 1,000 that means 1,000's not far off. You thinking about anything special to celebrate these milestones?
Well, every 100 episode, I try and do something special. Yeah, I got a really great 900th guest in the can, because as we start getting closer, you're like, oh my gosh, who are we going to get? But I think the coolest thing about Talk is Jericho, getting to 900 episodes, it's still the top 200 podcasts in the world, in a world where there's literally 2.5 million podcasts now.
Everyone has one.
It's insane.
Yeah.
When I first started podcasting in 2013, people still weren't sure exactly what it is. And that's why I got in early enough where I was able to build a really good fan base where people are like, we like this podcast. So now when there's another million more added or whatever it is, they still stick with Talk is Jericho. It's the same thing with Painmaker, my involvement with NFTs, the NFT world, and creating the Painmaker graphic novel. As an NFT, is that a lot of people still don't understand what that is. Oh, it's ridiculous. It doesn't mean anything. But if you're in that community, it is a viable, living, breathing monster. I think it's kind of the same as when, 15 years ago, if you gave me a DVD of the new Black Adam movie, and I go, hey man, in 15 years, these DVDs will be useless. You'd be like, no way. every single movie you ever want to watch is going to be on your phone, and every song and every book. No way. And now it's like a DVD. What do I do with a DVD? Someone offered to give me a DVD today. It's like, what do you want me to do with it? Use it as a coaster? I don't even have a DVD player in my house. What am I supposed to do with this thing? It's the same with NFTs, to where getting into it early, the same way I did podcasting, as more and more people become familiar with it, will go, oh, I remember Jericho was talking about NFTs, and they might be more in tune of checking out my NFT work the same way they did my podcast and all these other things that I'm involved with. So I like staying ahead of the curve rather than being behind it. And Talk is Jericho and the Painmaker graphic novel are perfect examples of that.
With the Painmaker graphic novel, how is it different when you're creating a graphic novel in a digital way?
Yeah,
versus
it's really cool. So the Painmaker was a character that I started doing in Japan because I wanted something darker than just Chris Jericho. I felt like it could really make my mark of being something a little bit more evil and scary, because the Japanese fans buy into it. Yeah. And they're literally scared of characters like that. And I thought, what would a serial killer look like if he was a pro wrestler? And the Painmaker kind of became that. That was the look of it. So I did a movie with Kevin Smith, fast forward, called Kilroy Was Here. It just got released a couple of weeks ago, last week maybe even, as the first ever full-length feature film released as an NFT. Once again, what? Well, Kevin's kind of a pioneer too. He's the first guy to sell a movie at Sundance, except he kind of knows what he's doing. So I got involved with the NFT world after I did Kilroy. So I released a couple Painmaker NFTs just to test the waters. They sold out quickly. Now what is the Painmaker? Well, let's expand on this. What if the Painmaker, the character, is actually the serial killer that I envisioned, but he's an intergalactic serial killer? And he's reformed himself. And now his mission is to travel the galaxy, killing other serial killers on all these different planets. So it could be, you know, a Chronomicon is one of the characters who's half spider, half scorpion. And he's a serial killer that the Painmaker kills. But here's the problem. The Painmaker still has an urge to kill innocent people. And does from time to time. So he's an anti-hero. That's his flaw. So I thought, listen, how many Superman, Batman, Spider-Man movies can they make? Sooner or later, somebody has to think of something new. Let me try and make this Painmaker a viable character, a viable superhero, and start with a graphic novel. So when you do a graphic novel digitally, we're reading a graphic novel holding in our hand. It's great. Digitally, as you're reading this, it moves and shifts and lives and breathes. The character's breathing. If someone shoots a gun, it shoots. It really is like watching almost like a cartoon, but as a comic book. That's something that's very cool that you can do in this world that you don't ever see. So then you can actually even, what if you almost choose your own adventure back when I was a kid? What if you want the story to go in direction A? Well, then you can choose that and take the article that way. Or there's a lot of different things you can do with it, because it's a living, breathing form of art rather than just something that's on a printed page. And I think that's one of the appeals to this that comic book collectors in the future will really get involved with. Now, you don't have the actual physical copy, but that's becoming fewer and far between.
My short boxes are filling up.
Yeah. I mean, books, having a physical book is such a strange concept. I read most of my books on Kindle now, or watch movies. We don't actually have a physical copy of anything. Like I'm watching The Offer right now on Netflix, so there's no physical copy of it to have.
The streaming stuff is
just stream it. You don't ever hold anything in your hand. So, like I said, it's an experiment for me, but it's something that I like to be ahead of the curve, and I think it's a very cool character in this superhero comic book world that, in my opinion, needs some new characters. So, hey, I started my own cruise. I wrote books, podcasts. I became a wrestler when no one said I could. Let me see if I can start my own superhero.
This man can't lose. Who's playing? What? I'm not going to say if. I'm going to say when the time comes. Who's playing Painmaker?
I don't know, man. I'm really into Miles Teller right now.
The mustache era.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, obviously, in a perfect world, I could pull a Sylvester Stallone and write this really great character that no one's allowed to play it but me. But like I said, I mean, I don't mind being behind the scenes as a producer as well. So I think that once again, for me as Chris Jericho, there's a lot of different ways that I can go with a lot of different things. And producing and creating is pretty cool as well.
That's awesome, dude. Well, I'm wishing you the best of luck with it. I can't wait to follow it myself.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Man. Thank you for coming.
Your last interview.
Last interview.
Did it go out with a bang?
Comic-Con. Hell of a way to go out, dude. Thank you for coming by. Thank you, everybody at Comicbook.com for watching. Stay tuned to Comicbook.com for more on the site from San Diego Comic-Con. See you there.